So, hello guys, welcome back to the Subham Show. So, today we have a special guest on our show, Mr. Pritam Onsker, founder and director of Tailor Smart. So, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Shubham. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, sir. How about you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much, Shubham. And thank you for
So,
having me on your show.
it's my honor, sir. So, sir, I have the first question for you is that, like, what is your early life had been? So, by early life, I mean, right, from the time you were in college. Like, what is your story till building a company?
Okay, sure. I can take you through that and live it with you in some sense. So I come from a small town in India, southwest India called Goa. Everybody loves Goa, as you know.
Yeah.
And I come from a very modest family. We are four of us, mom, dad. My father has been a central government employee. He's been working for the postal department for all his life. And we were brought up in a very, very close knit kind of family. I did all my education, the first part of my education till my construction engineering diploma in Goa. And that's when I moved into the construction line for some time, quickly to realize that this is not something that I wanted to do in the long run. And I moved that shift from a construction line to the sales line. And when I did that, a lot of people said to me, this is not the right thing you're doing, because construction right now is so booming. It's at its peak. You needed the highest percentage to get into the construction engineering colleges and so on and so forth. But I, backed myself, my instinct, you can say, or, the fact that I loved meeting more people every day. I loved talking to them, that kind of a approach that I had, and I backed myself that, and you can say, I literally didn't listen to anyone and moved from construction to sales. And ever since that, actually, the good part has been that I've not been able I was not required to apply for a job. After that, it was more of what is the kind of effort that you put, what is the kind of self brand, or a personal brand that you create for yourself, that people actually come to you rather than you going to people, right? So
Yeah.
I worked for companies like Anchor Electronics and Electricals Limited, Crompton Greaves, Tata Communications, Reliance Infocom, Airtel, and now Tata, Com again. So uh, what I'm trying to say is that that one instinct, or following that one passion of yours that you thought that will be good for you, has really helped me to grow from a small humble town boy to whatever I am today. And that is the kind of curiosity which also landed me into creating my own startup venture. Right, I was in Singapore that time, when two of these young gentlemen were running this particular startup in their own way, and they had a small base of 200 odd customers, and I was one of those customers, right? And I really loved the kind of thing that they did. So I was watching them keenly, and when I was back for one of my visits to India from Singapore, I made a proposal to them. I said, this older brand of yours is not creating any vibes in the market. So why don't we just thrash this brand and create a new one? And whatever new investments are needed will be chipped in by me. And it worked. They agreed, and now we have this lovely brand called tailorsmart.in, which is into made to measure clothing. It's a platform, basically, where you can choose, select whatever fabric design you want, whatever apparel you want to get it made, and you can get it done at your comfort of your home, office, or even a coffee shop. What it does actually best is the fact that it creates a lot of employment for these our unorganized sector tailors, right? Skill is huge there. They have a wonderful skill set, but it is unexploited. Even it's the same with the designers, right? So we have so many designers who are aspiring designers, who don't get the kind of platform that they should, because in not just in our country, but generally also, it is perceived that designer wear, or made to measure clothing is very expensive. So that's the myth we want to break. We are making made to measure clothing, designer clothing, affordable clothing for everyone. It's not just for, the elite. It is there for elite as well. I mean, it's all a matter of fabric that you use, but we are making it available for everybody. So in short, I think that's been my journey so far, Shubham.
Yes, yes, sir. So, sir, what is the story behind Tailor Smart?
Okay. As I said, these two young gentlemen started this concept. Basically, it was not my idea. I have been in associated with the company at an execution stage, right? So these two guys were basically, thinking that they could make the tailoring business virtual, right? And they reached out to me. One of them was a part of my team in the past, so he knew me. So he reached out to me and said that, we can make some lovely made-to-measure fittings for you, and why don't you try us out? And then I asked them, what is the advantage of doing made-to-measure? And they opened up my eyes by saying that, what's your waist size? And I said, it's actually somewhere between 30 and 32. He said, that's the difference. So when you go to a ready-made store, what is made in the ready-made store is not something which is meant for you. And by that, what they meant was that if you look at India, every body structure changes from north to south. So if you go to north, you will find, our Punjabi friends who are like huge, they're built well, and so on and so forth. But it's not the same as you come down south. We'll find them more petite, and they're smaller structures when you go down south. So the ready-made clothing which is made is not made for everyone, right? That was the first
Yeah.
statement. And then when we saw that, he could actually make my trouser, which then was maybe, somewhere around 31 ka waist, it really looked nice on me. It gave me that extra amount of confidence to have that perfect length, to have that perfect fit. Because earlier, what used to happen is I used to buy these ready-made trousers and then alter them for the length, and the whole shape of the trouser would change, right? So
Yeah.
that is what actually gave me a sense of satisfaction as a customer first. So it was my first-hand experience as a customer that kind of delighted me and made me, talk to them maybe 1 year later. I mean, I didn't immediately speak to them. I first saw as to how they were building this business. They did a pretty good job, I think, by having about 200 plus customers on board. But after that, scaling was becoming a bit of a challenge for them, and that's when I chipped in with whatever execution knowledge that I had, and then together we made this lovely company. I also went back and did a little bit of my own research as well, which also told me that this is the one of the biggest markets that we have. Apparel market, by the way, just for your information, in India is close to about $59 billion by 2022 or 21. Sorry, 21, 22. So 59 billion US dollar kind of a market in India, which is served only 33% by organized retail, right? So the rest 67% is probably these small stores, boutiques, the nearby tailor, etc., etc. And so there is this huge opportunity for us to actually bring the unorganized sector tailor into the organized one. So that is what actually excited me and got me hooked onto this wonderful story. And then we later on added designers as well to that, because then the whole community was there on the platform. So that's been our story. I mean, we are enjoying it so far.
So, sir, I have to ask you this question. It's like, how had COVID-19 impact on your company?
Wonderful. So first thing first, I think the good part was that we didn't have to cut down on anybody's salaries, right? So we maintain salary. We could maintain the salaries of all our employees as is. Second impact that has happened is that it has opened huge opportunity doors for us, because now less number of people wanted to go to the malls, more number of people wanted their clothes to be done at home. Now there were also situations where my regular buyers said that, okay, now we are sitting at home and I'm in my pajamas and your t-shirts, so I don't need clothes. It swiftly, however, changed in 2 3 months, right? So there came a dressing code for most of these companies when they were on official calls, because they soon realized that being in home clothes may impact your productivity in some sense. So if they could shift to the office clothes but yet work from home, it kind of gave a little bit of boost to the productivity in some sense. So things changed dramatically for us. COVID should not happen to anybody. COVID is a bad thing, etc., etc. But for us, it has turned out to be a good thing, right? Because all these years, 2 years plus that we are operational in the market currently, we had to educate people how good it is that the tailor is coming home and things like that. And now today, people are calling our tailors home, because there are weddings that are planned in November, December. There is the festive season which is there, and people just don't want to go to the malls. So we come out to be as a good alternative for these people who don't want to step out and want to get the best fitted clothing in the comfort of their home office or even a coffee shop.
Mm. So, sir, what do you think your company after 10 years? Where do you think your company, where do you see the future of your company?
So we want to be the preferred household name for clothing, right? Our aspirations are very clearly to become a household name, right? When you say household name, I would love to compare it with a brand like Amul or a Lizzat Papad, which are, I understand that they are more of consumables, but all I know is that roti kapda makan is not just about fashion; it's a necessity.
Mm,
And when we are in the field of necessity,
mm,
I think we have an opportunity to become the household name in clothing, right? So we are not about textile, or we are not about just being some brand which is offering you, a tailored solution. We are a wonderful brand of click and mortar in some sense, where you have the platform where you can log in and explore, and then you have the actual experience on the ground, where my person visits you, gets you measured, shows you the fabric. There are very few e-commerce companies where you can first feel the fabric and then buy it, right? So here is an opportunity to feel the fabric and buy it for you. So I think for us, it's not about becoming a unicorn by just getting some funding from angel investors, or a Series A, B, C kind of funding, but it's also about becoming the household name for clothing. That's the most important aspect for us, because at the back end we want to support our masters, our tailors, our designers, to be able to create more jobs for others. And if we are able to do that, and can maintain the balance of becoming a popular brand which creates jobs for others, eventually we can go public. And that's the long term plan for Tailor Smarts.
So, sir, since I know that you have a great marketing mind, so, sir, what are your source of knowledge?
Source of knowledge, I think one of the biggest source is when you meet more number of people, right? I think one of the things that I've always maintained is I love and interact with people who are better than me, right?
Mm,
So I always look for those guys who, of course, I also interact with the student community who's going to become the future. But when it comes to acquiring my own knowledge, I think most of it comes through my interaction with people who are better than me, the mentors, my ex bosses whom I have worked with, colleagues, peers who are better than me, etc. So that becomes my first source. My second source obviously is reading. So I'm not a reader who is going to get hooked on to novels, etc.
mm,
But I love to read biographies. I've read Steve Jobs in and out, for example, just to give you an example.
mm,
Recently, I was reading about Jeff Bezos. I've read Jack Ma to a great extent. So I get inspired by personalities and people who have built these empires from nothing. And that is my source of energy in some sense. Information, of course, is nowadays a continuous flow through social media, and I am pretty active in some sense,
Mm.
but it also is a lot of distraction at times. Uh, so having said that, I think one of the best source, in my view, is to interact on a regular basis with people who are better than you.
So, sir, ending this episode, there is a last question for you. Since you post a
Sure.
specific like post on your social media handle, which is my running thought of the day. So, sir, what is the
Yes.
idea behind it?
Yes. So, running for me has been the only time which is a me time. It is my time where nobody is disturbing me, where I don't have to be cluttered with thoughts about uh, my work or my other activities that I do. That's one time, or those that 1 hour is the time that I keep listening to my heart. What is my heart saying? What are the thoughts that are coming, which are driven by the heart. So that's my time when there is something which is stored in my subconscious mind, together with the combination of the heart person that I am, always keeps giving me some triggers in some sense. And while I'm running, it continues to dwell on those things. So just to give you an example, I think I have imagined myself as the prime minister of this country many times, and what I will do if I was the prime minister, for example. Or I have imagined myself to be leading an organization as big as 2.3 or 2.5 billion dollars, and then what I would do when I'm doing that. So that's actually my me time, which gives me those lot of thoughts. So when I went through COVID experience, my own COVID experience, I had those thoughts while running. That what is that people should take care about, or people should fear about, or how they should utilize their time better, and things like that. So whatever comes to my mind, I just try and craft it in few words, maybe 150, 200 words, and then I put them as my running thought of the day. And I think it's well received. People like it. There is a message in it in some sense. There is some kind of a humor also in it. So I am enjoying writing it, and people are enjoying reading it.
So, sir, lastly, any message to the audience? Since
No, I
our
think
uh, sorry, sir.
I think they need to be like you at your age, and your kind of initiatives that you take. I think you need to be inquisitive, right? I mean, you need to be experimental. You need to be somebody who thinks through not just head or heart, but also gives a gut opportunity. Because a lot of people, what they do is they get caught in analytics a lot, right? So my message to them would be that analytics are good, but at the same time, if you can uh, see, gut means what, right? Gut means it's your previous experiences or your exposure to certain things, which will tell you whether you will succeed or not. So sometimes it makes sense to listen to your gut. So I would recommend, and my one and only message would be curious, be inquisitive, be experimental, and listen to your gut. Don't ignore your gut completely, right? So that's my message for all your listeners, Shivam.
So, thank you, sir, for having on the show. It was a great talk.
Oh, I enjoyed it too. I didn't expect you will ask me such lovely questions. So great talking to you, and continue this wonderful job that you're doing. All the very best.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.